Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. There are a lot of changes. One of the changes that we do know that's coming is the rating schedule changes. I'm going to talk here specifically on the mental health change. Is it good? Is it bad? What can you expect with the mental health rating schedule change that's coming? Right now, it's projected to be final in August of 2025. Could be kicked down the road. Could end up being sooner than that. We'll find out as we get closer. Before we jump into it, I want to throw out a special thank you to Susan Alexander, 3171. Susan Alexander, thank you so much for that super comment, super chat. I truly appreciate your support so very much. Thank you again, Susan Alexander. All right, so jumping into it here, rating schedule changes have been happening over the last, 10 years or so. I want to say maybe 8 years. So over the past 8 years or so, since 2007, Stan's yelling at me. Stan's my rooster, for those that don't know. He was an accident. All right. So September of 2017, they started updating all of the rating schedules. So far, they've completed, it looks like 9. So 9, actually 10, because the digestive system one that hit about a year ago. So 10 rating schedules have been changed already, and we have 4 more that are coming. 4 more rating schedule changes projected to go into effect this year in August. It's mental health, auditory, respiratory, and neurological. Those are the 4 rating schedule changes. Now, I'm not going to focus on all of them right now. I'm going to hyper focus in on the mental health rating schedule. For folks out there, there's a couple different, viewpoints from the veteran perspective, right? One is you never filed for VA healthcare, VA benefits. You've never filed for a mental health claim, maybe. So it would be a new claim that you would be doing. And should you wait? Should you do it now? Should you wait till the rating schedule changes? We'll have that conversation. Another perspective would be you're already rated for mental health. Are you going to want to file for an increase? Are you protected against any negative kind of impacts? Where does all of that kind of go into play? So we'll address all of that. Hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. Every thumbs up and every minute watched helps this video expand its reach out to all that are looking, hopefully. And that's what we're really trying to do, right? Many hands make light work. So jumping into this, I'm going to start off with so the way this usually happens is the VA will announce it on, just some sort of a press release. Then it goes into the Federal Register. The Federal Register kind of tracks things, the movement of it all. You're allowed to put in comments within the first, 60 days. Then finally, it's getting ready to be finalized. Once it gets ready to be finalized, typically, the VA will shoot out another, we'll call it a press release, a notification. And they will say, hey, look, this rating schedule is now slotted to take place within the next 60 days. Here's the date, right? And then it goes into effect. So this, and it takes years. It takes, anywhere between maybe 2.5 to 5 years from the announcement of the proposed change to the implementation of the proposed change. There's no rhyme or reason on how fast they move. It is what it is. So the VA announced this specific mental health rating schedule change on February 15th of 2022 and subsequently placed it into the Federal Register. Now I'm going to read the portion of the notification here regarding mental health. And it just gives us kind of the high level overview. Then we'll jump into the actual meat and potato piece of it in the schedule of ratings that they would actually change it to. So the proposed changes in the Federal Register, how it would look in the new updated rating schedule change. So here it says, the proposed rules for mental health conditions would increase the minimum disability rating from a 0% to a 10%. So right out the gate, that's a positive, right? Now, there's not probably very many people that have a 0% rating, but now no matter what, there's a compensable rating, right? So they're going to get rid of the 0 and just start it off at 10%. That's a good thing. The rule would get rid of the dated part of the rating schedule, or the VA schedule for rating disabilities, that prevents a veteran from getting a 100% rating for mental health condition if they are able to work. So let's just say that the only service-connected condition you have is mental health. Now, if your only condition is mental health, and you have a severe situation and you're still working, really the VA is not really supposed to give you 100% typically. I mean, I know there's always exceptions to the rule, but as kind of the overall standard is concerned, what they're saying here is the VA's current, as of today, we are in March 2025. As of today, the VA rating schedule for mental health does not really have a window for a veteran to receive 100% rating if they are able to work. If you look at the current rating schedule, and I don't have it up in front of me, but there's some verbiage in there that essentially says that in order to be 100% rated, you have to have total occupational and social impairments, right? You have to be totally impaired in those. So what does that mean? You can't really hold a job. So here we are. It's going to get rid of the dated part of that rating schedule that prevents a veteran from getting 100% rating if they're able to work. That's a good thing, right? That is a good thing, which means that if, in my mind, if a veteran is currently at 70%, we'll say, the next rating on the rating schedule is 100%, and you're working at a 70%, this could potentially open up the doorway to get to 100% from your 70. So I think that this is a good thing. Again, we'll jump into the actual proposed rating schedule here in a minute and explain how to get there. One thing I do want to throw out is mental health is not just PTSD, right? It could be anxiety. It could be depression. Maybe you have a mental health condition as a secondary condition to a musculoskeletal condition, right? So maybe you got a bad back, right? Maybe your back is not doing too well. You don't sleep well. You're having all these issues with your back. Maybe you got some arthritis in there. Maybe you got some radiculopathy going down the legs, numbness and tingling. And maybe that's a little bit depressing, right? When you got to, if you want to go do something, or you can't do the things that you used to do because your back hurts too much. So that can cause depression as a secondary condition. Your depression would then be a mental health condition, and this would actually impact that. So let's move on here. It says that, we can skip this part. The VA will, ensure that veterans get compensation that they deserve, especially when it comes to mental health, yada, yada, moving on. All right, so this part's important. So this is how they're going to rate it. Again, this is the high overview, and again, we'll jump into the Federal Register. Rather than assigning an evaluation based on the number and type of symptoms present, these changes would evaluate mental disorders based on how impactful the disability is across 5 domains of impairment. The 5 domains are cognition, interpersonal interactions and relationships, task completion, life activities, and navigating environments. And then the last one is self-care. So those are the 5. Now, I'm going to read to you a little disclaimer here at the bottom from the VA that talks about essentially the protections that you have. Let's say that you're already rated and you don't think that this is going to benefit you when it does change. Are you protected where you're at? I'm going to read this to you directly from the VA, what they say. So it says, once again, there will be no change to any veteran's current rating based on these proposed changes. When the proposed changes are finalized, veterans who currently receive compensation for a service-connected condition can apply for increased compensation. And even if a veteran's symptoms no longer warrant the current evaluation they have based on the finalized changes, no reductions shall be made unless an improvement in the veteran's disability is shown to have occurred based on the last schedule used to assign their evaluation. So they're going to hold you accountable to your old rating schedule if you show any improvement. They're not going to go, oh, well, the new schedule is, you don't rate where you used to on the new schedule. They're not going to reduce you because of that. They will not reduce you solely based on a rating schedule change. They will hold you accountable to your old rating schedule. So you will be fine. You get to kind of play both sides of the fence here. All right, so let's talk about what you should do, and then we'll jump into the Federal Register and read the proposed rating schedule and how it works. If you have not filed for mental health, either as a standalone condition, PTSD, anxiety, whatever it is, any sort of diagnosed mental health conditions, if you have not filed for those, for service connection, or if you have not filed for a secondary mental health condition, such as the example that I gave, bad back, horrible, leads to depression. If you haven't filed for your secondary, my suggestion is file for it now. Doesn't matter. File for it now, because you'll lock it in now and you'll get rated now, and that's great. And then if and when the rating schedules take place, if they show a pathway to a higher rating, then file for an increase. And it would be then effective of the date of the rating schedule change. Don't miss out on your compensation between now and the rating schedule change. It says it's going to change in August. I don't know. It might get kicked down the road further. Don't delay. File now would be my suggestion. If you already have a claim in place, we'll talk about that, and it's already processing, you are already in process. If it gets decided prior to the rating schedule change, then it is what it is. Once the rating schedule change goes into effect, if it is advantageous to file for a new claim for an increase, then you would do that. Now let's talk about what happens if you have a claim in process today and the VA takes a long time. The rating schedule takes place, the change, they implement the new rating schedule before they decide your claim. Well, now you're in a unique position. The VA will actually look at both rating schedules because you kind of rode the line, right? So you crossed that bridge. And what they're going to do is they're going to look at both rating schedules and they're going to give you the more beneficial of the two. So if you rate 50% on one and you rate 70% on the other, they're going to give you the 70% rating and you're going to move on. So there is some benefit to that. And that actually happens with all rating schedule changes, not just the mental health. So any rating schedule change that is projected, if you go over it, you get to play both sides. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about if you wait until after, right? So let's say that you drag your feet, you don't file a claim, you don't file an intent to file, and then you file after the rating schedule change, you're going to be held to that rating schedule change, whatever that is. So let's move over to the Federal Register, where it actually gives us a glimpse of what is proposed for the rating schedule change. So I scrolled down to the actual rating schedule section, and it's a little more cumbersome, I guess, in a weird way. But I believe that it's more beneficial for veterans to be done this way. So the current rating schedule as of now, which is March 2025, just has a whole long list of conditions. And if you meet, these ones, then you're this rating. If you meet these ones, you're this rating. If you meet these, you're this. And if you meet that, you're this. So that is going away. And the way they're going to do it now is those 5 domains they talked about, or different buckets, right? So you got 5 different opportunities, we'll say. In each one of those categories, or domains to be precise, you have the ability to be not rated, but rated for severity. Okay, not rated as your percentage. So they're going to assign you a severity rating, right? 0 to 4. 0 to 4. 4 being like totally disabled in that specific category or domain. A 0 is you're not impacted at all. They're going to go through each one of the 5 domains and assign a severity rating. Okay, could be a 0, 0, 3, 0, 4. Okay, that's how they're going to do it. They're going to assign the 0 through 4 to each one of the 5 domains. And then they're going to look at the numbers that are assigned, the domain severity ratings, and they're going to then figure out how impacted you are overall, and then they're going to assign you the rating. Now let's read through it here. I know it's a bit confusing. So it says the general rating formula for mental disorders contains 5 domains related to function. And again, they are cognition is 1, interpersonal interactions and relationships is 2, task completion and life activities is 3, navigating environments is 4, and self-care is 5. So those are the 5 domains. Then it says if you have, well, before I go to what's going to rate you, let's talk about how they're going to look at assigning you a severity rating to each one of those. So again, 0 is no difficulties, cognitive functioning intact. Okay, is a 0 rating for that for the specific domain. A 1 rating is mild. Okay, it's a mild impairment at any frequency, or it could be a moderate impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. Okay, after I read through this, I'm going to give you my suggestion on how to dial this in. Information is key, and understanding how to document your evidence is going to be crucial to get the highest rating that you could qualify for. All right. So moderate impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time would be a mild. And mild has slight difficulties in 1 or more aspects of cognitive functioning that do not interfere with tasks, activities, or relationships. Number 2 impact would be moderate. Moderate is clinically significant difficulties in 1 or more aspects of cognitive functioning that interfere with tasks, activities, or relationships. Okay, moderate impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time. Okay, 25% or more of the time. So that's 1 in 4 days to look at 25% that way. Or it can be a severe impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. So if you have the peaks and valleys of it all, okay? So there's 2 different ways that you can get to moderate. So the next severity rating is a 3. This is considered severe. Remember, 4 is the maximum. So 3 is considered severe. It is serious difficulties in 1 or more aspects of cognitive functioning that interfere with tasks, activities, or relationships. Severe impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time. Remember, 25% is 1 out of 4 days, if you want to look at it that way. 25% or more of the time. Or it could be total impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. All right, the last one, and this is the most impactful, which is a impact of 4. 4 is total. It's profound difficulties in 1 or more aspects of cognitive functioning that cannot be managed or remedied, incapable of even the most basic tasks within 1 or more aspects of cognitive functioning, difficulties that completely interfere with tasks, activities, or relationships. Total impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time. So another way to look at 25% of the time is 6 hours out of the day, right? Would be 25% of the time. Or it could be 1 day out of 4. So understanding how those things work is very important. Now, here's my tip. You would actually want to copy and paste, print this stuff out, the 5 domains. This is what I would do if I were going to be filing for mental health. I would take those 5 domains and I would print this out for the severities 0 through 4, and I would take it to my provider, my mental health provider, psychologist or whatever, and I would have the conversation about, hey, look, I want to make sure that I'm documenting all this stuff appropriately as it relates to VA for the various benefits that I have there. So I just want to make sure that we just kind of dial this in because I want to make sure that I have this correct. And then let's talk about my 5 domains and where I fall in each one of these 5 domains. And here's the story behind each one of them, and then they'll talk you through it because they're going to go, okay, well, in this domain, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how whatever, and let's talk about this one and go into that, right? And then you'll have that conversation about the, well, is it more than 25% of the time at this level, or is it less than 25% at this level? Because there's 2 different ways to get to one severity rating. And I would have those conversations and I would document that. Now, if your provider won't do it appropriately with all the VA legalese in it, utilize AME, American Medical Experts. They're board certified doctors. They can help you with all of that stuff. And they can create DBQs that outline all of this, the disability questionnaires with all of the VA information that's needed. They would utilize this information to help build up maybe a Nexus Letter if you needed to, depending on your situation, if you need that or not. So there's a bunch of different aspects, right? The bottom line is that garbage in is garbage out. And if you're just throwing, darts blindly, you might get lucky, but here's the real stuff, right? This is what you need to use and you need to do in order to do it. Now, granted, the rating schedule is not in effect yet, but it's going to be very soon. And if I were starting to prep for an increase, for example, I would want to be starting to document this information now because I have a great idea on where it's going to fall. Now, once you have identified the severity of each one of your 5 domains, the 0 through 4, severity in each one of those 5, now the VA is going to have the ability to actually rate you, right? So if you're providing the VA with the information they need, clearly, hey, this is where I fall in each one of these 5 domains from my provider, and it's all spelled out for them. What they're going to do is they're going to look and they're going to go, okay, well, the minimum rating, again, is a 10%. They removed the 0. So 10% is the minimum rating. That's good, right? So if you're diagnosed with a mental health condition that is deemed service-connected or a secondary condition, you're automatically at least a 10. So how do you get to 30? A 30 is having a level 1 severity in 2 or more of your domains. So in other words, all the rest are zeros, right? So you have 2, 1 severities. 2 of your 5 domains have a level 1 severity, and the other 3 in this example would be 0. So that gives you a 30%. To get 50%, you would have a level 2. A level 2 is moderate. Remember moderate? So a level 2 in 1 domain. So you could effectively at the lowest level to get to 50% is you have 1 of your 5 domains. One of them is a level 2, moderate in severity. The other 4 could be 0. The VA doesn't care. As long as you have a level 2 in 1 of your domains, you're 50%. Now, to get to 70%, now there's 2 ways to look at this as you're hearing this. One is you're already rated and you're seeing if you can make it to the next level. Maybe you're a 50% and you're thinking maybe I'll make it to 70, or maybe you're a 70 and you're thinking you'll make it to 100, or maybe you're a 30, can I make it to 50? So you're looking at increases. For others who are looking at this, this would be when this thing goes into effect, where could you possibly be looking for a future increase if you already filed or you filed now and your claim gets decided prior to this? All right, so number 3 would be a 70%. You would need a level 3 severity, in 1 domain. They actually have 2 different options for a 70%. One option is you have a level 3, which is severe. So you have a severe impairment in 1 domain, and you can have zeros in the other 4. Unlikely, but you could have 4 zeros, not impacted at all, and have 1 that is a severe impairment in a level 3. in one domain. So that's one way you can get 70. The other way you can get a 70% is if you have two of your domains at a level 2 impairment, and the other could be 0. It doesn't matter. So you could have 2 2s and 3 0s in your domains. The last one here is getting the 100% rating. And again, there's 2 options to get to 100%. You could have a level 4 totally impaired in one domain. In one domain. All the rest could be 0s. Doesn't matter. If you're a level 4 totally impaired in that specific domain, according to the schedule of ratings, which is total impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time. If that's you, that's 100%. Now let's say that you don't have any 4s, right? You're not totally impaired at 25% or less of the time. But let's say that you're severely impaired in 2 of your domains. All the rest could be 0s. All they care about is this higher number. So it says, or you can have level 3 impairment in 2 or more domains. So a level 3 impairment in 2 or more domains would also warrant the 100% rating. Very, very important stuff. Some people say it's going to be harder to go to get a higher rating when this comes out. And I think it's actually opening up more doors and more avenues for the 100% rating or a higher rating anyway. I think that we're going to be able to see people that are rated 30% move up to the 50%. I think we're going to see people at 50 be able to move up to 70 and from 70 to 100. I will tell you this though. Again, garbage in is garbage out, and that also includes effort. If you put in no effort and you just file for an increase and you show up to your C&P exam and you don't know any of this stuff and you just kind of ramble through it and you make it through and then you're done, no, you're not going to get an increase. You're going to have to put the work in. You're going to have to talk with your mental health provider, and you're going to have the discussion about the 5 domains and the level of severity in each one of them through a scale of 0 to 4. And I would spell it all out for them, and I would get them to implement all of that information into or include it into a DBQ, disability questionnaire, and really outline my 5 domains, my level of severity in each one of them. And as soon as I get that from my provider, I'm going to be able to look at the rating schedule and go, okay, my provider said I'm a 3, a 2, a 1, a 2, and a 3. Oh, I got 2 3s. Look at that. I am 100% because I have 2 3s. So having that conversation and getting that medical evidence from your mental health provider is number 1 key. If you don't do it, now you're just relying on a C&P examiner who's going to spend 45 minutes to an hour with you and try to figure out where you fall. And if you forget to say something, you didn't articulate it right, you were a little bit uncomfortable, and so you weren't forthcoming, whatever it is, you're just shooting yourself in the foot at that point. Take the time up front to set yourself up for success. That's the bottom line. Again, if you need medical evidence with some legalese around it to help you with this process, utilize AME if you hung on till the end. American Medical Experts. Their information will be in the description and the comments. Free consultation, board certified. Check them out. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you so very much. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.